Well, good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Ella Thorpe, and this is Talk to the Doctor, and we are from Tustin, California, Southern California, and this is Tustin Longevity Center. We are a group of integrative medical doctors that are involved with trying to make it another opportunity for our patients to reach out to us with their questions, their friends, their family. You don't have to be a patient here. If you get onto the YouTube, you can type a question in the chat area here. And if you look at the bottom, you'll see on the bar a website dedicated to questions for Ask the Doctor or Talk to the Doctor. When you get your notification in your email, if you're on our email, it'll say the upcoming Tuesday night at 6 p.m. every Tuesday night at 6. And it'll have a submit a question link. You could do it that way as well. So this is not meant to be personal medical management or advice. This is general advice to a question or concern. It is another avenue that we try and use to support our patient population and to give how a doctor who does standard medical training and medical school and follow-up fellowship or board certification in GYN, family practice. We have naturopaths. We have physician assistants and so forth. So we're trying to take our years of experience in alternative medicine so that we can answer your questions. Today, I have some questions here that have come through. And as we see the chat fill up, I'll ask some questions or try to answer. If I don't know, I'll say it. And if I have the time, I'll take a note down and I'll try and look forward to looking it up. And maybe next week getting to it, because I don't have two computers, so I can't do a quick check on my other computer. But anyway, let's start out with a joke tonight. One of my patients gave this to me this week. Where does the moon go to get its hair cut? Where does the moon go to get its hair cut? It goes to the eclipse. So it goes to eclipse to get its hair cut. So I thought that was cute. But anyway, let's start tonight with the emailed in questions. This is from today. Tara asked the question, hi, Dr. Rita, if you're getting EDTA treatments, EDTA is ethylene diamine tetracetic acid. These are IVs that are chelators. They pull out heavy metals like lead, mercury, arsenic, cadmium, uranium, lead, and so forth. If you are getting EDTA treatments, would you recommend going to a doctor, or would an IV bar that offers the treatment also be sufficient? Would there really be a difference in the treatment, and how is it done? Also, what are your thoughts on IV NAD? Thank you. All right, so like I said, ethylene diamine tetracetic acid is a man-made amino acid that is designed in a 3D manner to have a strong negative end that is attracted to molecules that are positive. So all heavy toxic metals like lead, mercury, arsenic, aluminum, cadmium, uranium, they're positive, and there's no really safe levels. And so EDTA is attracted to it electrochemically, and there is a certain gradient of affinity in chemistry, and there is the order of what we call mass action. So if you have a huge amount of one type of toxin, the EDTA is going to be seeing more of that than the other things, so that even if the affinity would be for lead, it might pick up some other things. I would think that all IV bars have a physician who is responsible for the IV intravenous administration of anything. Check your state laws on that. But usually, I would think they would have the doctor on premise on the grounds. So we only do IVs at our place with the physician being present. And that way the nurse, if there's any reason to have a question, they have a doctor available that should be qualified to handle any kind of question or emergent issues. I have no problems with IV bars, and if the bar is offering EDTA, I would presume that the doctor went to the American Academy for the Advancement of Medicine and did the training on EDTA and the calculations. We don't want to give this to someone who has heart failure, because that would be adding more fluids to their load. We don't want to give it to someone in end-stage kidney failure, although we do give it to patients who have kidney failure in lower doses in tinier, more frequent amounts, and that does help kidney disease. We have many nephrologists who have published on this and seen great value. So I can't speak to the IV bars, Tara, because I don't know what their protocol is. We teach a protocol that has been proven safe and effective for 50 to 60 years. Hopefully they're following that protocol. But I do recommend it because we're all exposed, every one of us out there, from our babies to the adults. The older you get, you just bioaccumulate these toxins, and they're associated with all cause of mortality. Every cause of death is aggravated by these oxidizing cell membrane, and they poke a hole. See, like right there in the cell membrane, they poke a hole in it and they hurt the cell. And then we are here trying to always help you repair it, to repair all those holes. And these heavy metals poke holes or burn the cell membranes. So everyone needs to do this. Would there be any difference in the treatment? Well, they're all given intravenously. I would just think the dosing might be different. If they're using a lower dose, every dose helps. So I would say any amount they're giving you helps. I just hope it's cost effective. Now, what are your thoughts on IV NAD? NAD is, I think, what she's referring to, nicotinamide adenosine dinucleotide. And that is a NAD for short, or NADH. Those are biochemical molecules that are very, very important for cell respiration in the mitochondria and many other places, and transferring of electrons. And so nicotinamide adenosine dinucleotide, if you eat meats and food that is rich in it, you should have plenty of this. It does diminish with age. There are those who say it helps with cell metabolism, especially for athletes who work out heavily. I have never used it in IV form or as a nutrient, because I've never seen the real need for it. So I don't use it, Tara. Tiziana says, hi, Dr. Rita, does red palm oil fall into the bad fat list, or is it a good fat like coconut oil and butter? Thanks. Yes, palm oil is one of those saturated fatty acids that should be considered, not a concern. So I would say yes, Tiziana, it would be considered a good fat like coconut or butter. Mary asked the question, I've developed a dark streak on the nail of my big toe, thumb, and index finger. When I Googled this, the pictures look much like my nails, and the reports suggest sublingual melanoma. What do you recommend? Yes, we all have melanoma. There are no races. We're all of one race. The Bible says we're all of one blood. We just have different volumes of melanin being expressed in our skin. So I'm not a white person, and I can prove it to you in 1 second. I am a different shade of person, because this is what a white person would look like. And if I look that white, please call 911. But anyway, yeah, there's no races. There's only different shades of expression genetically of melatonin. We are all of one race, and that certainly helps you to love all people and to regard everyone as made in the image of God, and to treat them with that concept. Now, it can be a concern to have this show up under the nail beds, and so I would say you should see a dermatologist and have them look at the toenail and the thumbnail, and have that examined, especially if it's recent and new, and then monitor it and go from there, Mary. So see your dermatologist and make sure that that is not of concern. There are benign expressions of melatonin, and hopefully that's all this is, and usually is, but I would have it checked out. David asked the question, Tongat Ali is a Indonesian root. That's spelled Tongat, and then the second word is capital ALI. And it is reported that it raises testosterone levels. Studies show that 800 milligram raises testosterone by 200 points. What are your thoughts on this? I haven't used Tongat Ali. I have used other things like moose antler extract. I have used, in the long past, I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, I have not used Tongat Ali. So all I can say is if this is generally regarded as safe and by a good manufacturing process, I don't see a reason why you couldn't use it, and try it out, or bring it to your doctor and let them look at the bottle and get familiar with the maker and maybe do some research on that. Here's where I'll write that down, and I'll try and have more information on that. TONGATALI. Questionable testosterone is increased. It's an herb. All right. So sorry, David, I don't know about that particular herb. Never heard it before, but I'll be happy and interested to look into it. What could raise testosterone anyway? Exercise, weightlifting, and some intermittent high intensity training. So if you did weights one day, upper and lower body, then the next day you did aerobic spurts, then the next day you did some weight training. That's known to raise it. Eating a diet that has enough cholesterol in it, because testosterone is made on the cholesterol molecule. It has to be eaten to produce it. DHEA is a precursor for it. Doing intermittent fasting promotes this. Getting a good night's sleep helps this. Avoiding all alcoholic beverages improves this. Those are other things you can do without buying herbs. Rhonda asked the question, how do you recommend treating and do you assist patients as a part of your practice who have a diagnosis of Lyme disease? Western medicine seems to recommend antibiotics. Are there other methods that you would suggest as an alternative? Well, Lyme disease is not something that you want to fool around with, and we have a lot of experience as infectious disease specialists. We'll usually use something like doxycycline, one of the tetracycline family antibiotics in particular, and that over maybe first exposure to a tick-borne disease, the Bordetella viruses, and it will hopefully prevent development of Lyme's. But if it was missed and Lyme's did develop, and you have a valid lab and testing, and it's probably been either unknown that when you got the tick infestation bite, then I would say probably antibiotics is the correct path, and to consult with your infectious disease specialist. Now, what can we do to help? Well, if you follow all the healthy lifestyle to support immune building, such as a low-carb diet, a good night's sleep, drinking enough water, not eating after 6 o'clock so your immune system and gut can rest, and then your blood doesn't have to circulate around your stomach after eating and snacking into the evening hours. So you have more hours where your immune system can work on protecting you. If you're eating healthier fats and proteins in your free-range meats, red meats, free-range poultry, free-range wild-caught fish, and so forth, and butter, then you're going to be able to build up better white blood cells and build up better cell membranes. Remember, you want to protect your membranes from being injured. If you're taking vitamin D and getting it checked with your doctor once or twice a year and keeping it in a range that's in the upper normal limits, like 80 nanograms per deciliter to 120 nanograms per deciliter is what our clinic uses. If you're taking in enough water, as well as using enzymes systemically to reduce inflammation, if you're taking a good multi-chelated mineral like zinc and selenium, all these things work together to help. And then we can give high-dose vitamin C intravenously that is very valuable. We can do ozone, ultraviolet light, irradiation of the blood treatments. All these things tend to kill parasites, fungi, bacteria, viruses. And this is how we support patients who come to us who have been diagnosed with Lyme disease. But we have traditionally worked with the infectious disease specialists, and we have never discouraged them against the antibiotic treatments. However, if they do the antibiotics, we protect the gut from harm with high-dose probiotics and prebiotics, and that altogether then gives us very good results for our patients. Harlow asked the question, what do you think of these values? And she gives me a list of the lipid profile: triglycerides 99, High density lipoproteins are 74. LDL 146. She didn't give me a total cholesterol. Doesn't matter. The things that is important here is the triglycerides are higher than the HDL. So her triglycerides were 99 and the high density HDL was 74. So you want to bring those triglycerides down into the 70s through eating less carbs and maybe exercising more to get the HDL up. That would be my only criticism there, but you're not far off. The thyroid stimulating hormone is 0.005. But then the question would be, is this person on thyroid replacement medication for hypothyroidism? If they are, then a TSH of 0.005 could be acceptable if they're on thyroid replacement. Some doctors would say it's too suppressed. The triiodothyronine T3 is 193, which is in the average range. So it shows that if they are on a thyroid supplement, they are not on too much. So I wouldn't worry much at all about the TSH. And the T4 is 1.84, which is in the normal range. So since the actual hormone triiodothyronine is 193, I would say everything looks fine there too. Lynn has the question, I understand the benefits you indicate with chelation therapy for heavy metals. I've read some concerns on the side effects to the kidneys. Your thoughts? If you give EDTA chelation therapy in the correct manner, you never get any kidney issues. So any medicine can be administered too much, too fast, too often, too little, and you could get poor outcomes. The same is with the amino acid man-made called EDTA. If you give it in a manner that is at the right dose and in the right speed and the right frequency, you're always going to be safe. And we're always safe here. Decade after decade after decade after decade that I've used it, I've had no problems. I have patients with kidney disease in stage 1, 2, 3, and even some that are on dialysis for their kidneys, just like nephrologists have published. Dr. Lee has done study after study showing that EDTA chelation therapy tends to be protective and stabilizing in kidney failure. So if you gave the medicine too fast, you could create a usually temporary minor vacuolization of the glomeruli tubules, but that repairs itself in 24 hours. That's the only thing I've ever seen. And so corrupt people in the internet world who do not do this, who don't have experience for decades with this, will take that one fact and explode it to the point of creating fear, when the reality is you have far greater harm and risk with aspirin and Tylenol every day being used over the counter. So we have deaths and overdosings with this and harm to the liver. You never hear, except for one doctor I know in Florida many years ago, 10, 15 years ago. I think in all of the 70 years of EDTA's history, there have only been 2 or 3 deaths in 70 years for the millions of dosings. And the National Institute of Health, the TAC trial to assess chelation therapy, just in their study with 1,000, I think it was 708 people who had a heart attack, there were no problems. It was extremely safe to administer, where was their assessment in the trial. and they went on to do Tech Trial 2, and now they're in Tech Trial 3, and they're getting phenomenal results on circulation and longevity and saving limbs and stopping the post-heart attack risk potential for subsequent heart attack and death. So it is ridiculous for anyone to use kidney as a risk, because if it's given properly, it is safer than aspirin and Tylenol. Cynthia asked the question, thank you so much for all you do. Thank you for your kind words, Cynthia. I got a CT scan that confirmed kidney stones. Do you have any suggestion to help them pass quickly? The pain first started over 2 weeks ago, and I still haven't passed them. Also, my CT scan report said mild fat stranding was seen anterior to the aorta at just below the level of the celiac artery. In your opinion, is fat stranding something to be concerned about? Thanks again. Well, abnormal fat accumulation in the gut and the organs, viscera, shows that you're eating too many carbs. If you do some fasting and don't eat late, exercise, and lose 10 or 15 pounds, that should solve that issue. If it's just a streak, but where's it going to be a year from now, or 5 years, or 10 years from now? You have to start working on it now. The other thing is, what would I do for kidney stones? I've had 2 in my life, and both of them were because I neglected to take care of myself. One was when I was an emergency room doctor, and I was just working these ungodly shifts of 12, 14, 18 hours on active duty. We were understaffed, and I just had no time to drink water or stop to go pee. That's how terrible these shifts were, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year on active duty. And I then got a kidney stone, and it required a basket retrieval. And then the second time I got a kidney stone was in 2014. And once again, I was just not taking care of myself here, drinking enough water. So it is drinking water and taking the time to stop. And even if you're running late, you have to drink your water and go pee and empty your bladder and then drink more water. And just, you can't worry if you're trying to do everything right. You just have to do it. And so you have to drink half your weight in pounds as ounces every day of your life. And that is the best way to prevent kidney stones. There's no gimmickry. I have been practicing 41 years. All these wives' tales about take this or that, I have never, ever seen in my 41 years, nothing in at all compares to drinking enough water every day. Amila says, hi, Dr. E. What supplements would you recommend for a fast recovery after wisdom teeth surgery for a teenager? Thank you for sharing your knowledge and everything you do. God bless you. Well, God bless you all too. Fasting is the greatest thing you can do to speed up healing for a period of time. So I would be fasted when I go in to have the tooth pulled, and I would be fasting for 24 to 48 hours afterwards for any surgery, actually. It stimulates human growth hormone, and if you're taking vitamin C, vitamin D, I like the series called Juice Plus, the fruit, vegetable, and berry concentrate. There's no sugar in it. A good multi-mineral. And I would take systemic enzymes after any surgery. I would not take them days before surgery, because taking systemic enzymes all the way up to the day of surgery, you could get a little bit of tendency toward blood thinning that would just make a little bit of oozing of the capillaries and harder for them to stop the bleeding, and they would have to cauterize it. Same with the tooth. So about 4 days before any surgery, I would stop enzymes if you're taking them. But even if you're not taking them after surgery, I would take them immediately after surgery the next day, and I would use like 4 or 5 twice a day on an empty stomach, especially if that stomach is empty for 2 days. If the patient must have something, then I would just give them chicken broth or beef broth. And if they must have something with sugar in it, I would give them ginger ale with the real sugar in it, the real ginger ale, but I would mix it with water to cut it so it isn't so sweet. And that's what I would do for the teenager with the wisdom tooth extraction. Then Tara asks, what are your thoughts on ozone for brain injury and metal toxicity? Is it safe and effective? Anything else you would recommend for the brain to promote healing? Thank you. Fasting will promote healing of the brain and healing of the body like nothing else at all. So fasting for 2-3 days is so growth hormone repairing. EDTA chelation will help the microcirculation, and using systemic enzymes will help disinflame. And using ozone, oxygen is certainly probably valuable. I don't know of any studies, but nobody makes money on EDTA chelation, and no one will pay for studies on this. I was amazed that the TAC trial was done after so many decades of chelating people. It was so wonderful to finally see some of the money of the government go to looking at a qualified trial for chelation, and it turned out spectacular. But EDTA chelation will always improve microcirculation, which will always improve tissue and any part of the body from the brain to the toe. Ozone likely will help it because it enhances oxygen and decreases viral, bacterial, and fungal contaminants. And fasting will stimulate healing like nothing else will. Then the next question, the next page is Lorraine. I'm currently using both estrogen and testosterone hormone creams from Longevity. Is it a better product than I would get from a regular doctor? More natural? How long would you use hormone replacement therapy? I think compounding pharmacists and standard pharmacists that don't compound but only give pre-made pharmaceutical products called estradiol or progesterone called, I think, Prometrium. These are the true estradiol, and Prometrium is true progesterone. But I don't think there isn't as much variability. We like the creams because they're what we would call pure. We make them here ourselves. It's pure estradiol with eucerin cream. Very simple, very, very basic. There's no chemicals in it. And then you and your doctor can adjust the dose with creams a lot easier than rewriting a script, reformulating it. And there's only a certain amount of packaged delivery mechanisms that the pharmaceuticals have. So our cream forms, and we did this so we could not waste any of the cream. We could up the dosing. We could lower the dosing by the volume of the cream dispensed, and it's very, very, very easy to do. So there is nothing better than estradiol. You can't improve on what God made it. Estradiol is what it is. When pharmaceuticals put it in patches like the Vivel patch or the Minivel, there's patches, then you're dealing with adhesives and suspension plastics and stuff sticking to your body, and you are picking up some of these phthalates and plasticizers into your system, because the skin is a organ and it will pick up these fat soluble items, and many times these chemicals are fat soluble. So I don't like the patches for that reason. Plus, they're fixed doses. The other thing is I don't like pellets. I don't like what else do I like? I don't like injectable testosterone. These are unnatural ways to administer it. I think the most natural is a cream or an oral capsule or tablet. And I'm going to take natural hormone replacement therapy all the days of my life. And I joke that in my casket when I die, I want someone to put a dose of my extra creams and progesterone for my estradiol and progesterone in there to take to heaven with me. All right. So I'm going to use it always. David says, please explain Herxing, and do you recommend doing it? And that's spelled Herxing. H is in Henry, Herxing. And I think what he's referring to is the Hertzmeyer reaction. The Hertzmeyer reaction is a Dr. Hertzmeyer who first described the phenomena of detoxing symptoms. That's where, let's say you go on a low carb diet, intermittent fast, or you fast, and you start getting what they call the low carb flu, meaning you start feeling achy and you start feeling tired, maybe even some nausea from your hunger. And you might get a little softer stool or looser stool. The Hertzmeyer reaction, or Herxing, refers to the body's natural process of detoxing. You could get an EDTA chelation IV or a high dose vitamin C IV. And these will promote detoxing of the body, and you could feel a little flu-like afterwards. Now, over the many decades that I've done this, I've never seen this as a problem because we know how to dose it so well, and we have dose ranges that tend to not give this as a problem. But nobody's identical to the next person, and so we all can have a different reaction. So Herxing refers to doing detoxification protocols where you're getting some of that kind of achy flu-like, maybe even loose stool feeling for hours to a day or two. But it shouldn't last beyond a day or two, because your body doesn't ever detox, even with you're doing a fast or taking some herbs to promote this to the level of a prolonged Hertzmeyer reaction. It's always within a day or two. So Herxing is saying, I'm going to detox, I'm going to go on a fast, or I'm going to take some extra vitamin C, or I'm going to go take a juicing protocol, or whatever you're going to do. You'll probably get a little bit of a Hertzmeyer reaction. So if that's what you're referring to, David, I think it's safe. It's been around for thousands of years, and it is self-limiting, and it certainly shouldn't take more than a day or two to get through these flu-like simple symptoms. All right, that ends all my email questions. So let's go to the chat here and let's see what we have. We have Lua says, hi. I just found out I have hormonal imbalance. I'm a woman and have too much testosterone. What would you recommend I do? There's many things that could be going on. First, I would want to know your age, because if you're on the birth control pill, which I never prescribe, I won't prescribe, um, these concoctions of synthetic hormones mess with the ovulational cycle, and they make the hormone levels in a woman um, altered, so that we don't get our waves every month, the biphasic waves, and we don't build up the bone density that we should. So if your estradiol level is usually lower, your relative testosterone level could be higher, and then you become more aggressive and bitchy. So we would say, um, if you're on the birth control pill, that's one of the causes. The other is sometimes the lab reports will say that the testosterone level on a woman is too high, but I'm going to tell you, over 41 years of practicing medicine, that those ranges change with a population average, and the population is your measuring stick, and people are not as healthy as they used to be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. When I first started practicing, I would say I did my own testosterone when I was 43 years old. I think that was the first time I ever did it. And I had a testosterone level of 93. And I was in the normal range back then, and this was around the early 1990s. And so I would say today, I think the highest limit on the population average for women's testosterone that I have seen is 70. So see how the picture gets blurred just because you're sampling a population of people who are getting sicker and sicker and less healthy and less resilient. So your testosterone level, if I could see it in light of your age and your exam, and against the other hormones in you and what medicines you are not taking, I might say that your testosterone level is great. So I would see a healthcare doctor who is very um, uh, experienced in natural hormone replacement therapy, and put it into perspective, uh, because your testosterone level may not be the problem. It might, in fact, be other issues, okay, going on. All right, Azar says, hello, beautiful doctor. Well, bless your heart, Azar. You are beautiful too. And God's creation are all beautiful in their own way. We're all unique, and it's such a special privilege to be a medical doctor, to see so many different people on the planet, and have such a quick and deep relationship develop with them over just an hour of time. Sometimes I feel within 1 hour of a new patient, I feel so close and so connected to them, and it's just a beautiful thing. Let's see. Christina says, "Hi, Dr. E. What is your opinion on ionic detoxing?" I'm not sure I know what you mean by ionic detoxing. There could be various things. Ionic is talking sometimes about putting your feet in a foot bath where there's actually an electric current that creates ions in the water, because water is the most mysterious element in the world. H2O is the most exciting, mysterious element on the planet. And if you put an electrical current in the water and you put your feet in it, it'll make some free hydrogen atoms, or free hydroxyl atoms. And putting your feet in that can tend to create a osmolar or particle count differential, so that your skin cells in your feet will start, shedding certain molecular items, and we'll leave it that way. Other ionic detoxing talks to taking drinks in which you put a packet of minerals that do somewhat of a similar thing in the sense that these are usually minerals like magnesium citrate or other chelated minerals. And these minerals, when you take them in with a lot of water, will help bring out and make you have a looser stool and bowel movements and help your kidneys to expel excessive water. These are, if that's what you're talking about, I think you should talk with your doctor and not go wild. You could make yourself become dehydrated with that oral technique of these mineral packets. So you have to know what you're doing and not overdo any of them. Most of the foot baths are pretty much, not a risk. But I think that's what you're talking about. So I think for the most part, they're safe. Are they useful? If you say on a scale of 1 to 10, and would I use it and do I bring it up in my practice because it's valuable? And if 10 is the most valuable and 1 is it has no value, I'm going to have to say it's a 1 or a 2. There are just so many other things that are so much more valuable, like fasting and drinking enough water and getting a good night's sleep and regular exercise, both weight resistance and aerobic, not eating late, being low carb. Those are the tried and true things that you can't fix a whole human body of trillions of cells with these little ionic mineral drinks or these foot baths or just, minutes on a beamer mat. They may have their moments of value, but I hope you understand in the scale of things, it isn't going to be worth it. All right, and then Lisa says, "Hi, Dr. Ellithorpe. I have been having leg cramps at night. I am 67. Is there something I'm missing in my diet?" The older you get, Liza, the more you get these holes in your membranes here, this little breach of this cell membrane, a blowout in the wall there. All your life when you're younger, at nighttime you fix it, and then you're ready to start the next day. And you get some breaches, but you go to bed at night and you fix it if you're drinking enough water and you're taking those building blocks like eating meat, fish, chicken, pork, fish, egg yolks, and dairy products that are free range or raw, full of the phospholipids, the cholesterol, the protein, the healthy fats and protein that we're made of, okay? So most of these leg cramps are from too many holes. And I keep on my desk this wiffle ball or pickleball to try and let you know the older that you get, the more of your cells have holes in them. And so the little capillaries that are supposed to bring all the blood supply there are in fact themselves getting damaged and clogged up. So that's why this is one of the miracles of medical health care, drinking water. Drink half your weight in pounds as ounces every day. And then minerals. If you've got lots of holes in your cells, then it can't hold on to the energy production or its contents, and it's leaking like a sieve. So you usually, and I've been getting some cramps sometimes in my older years now, and so I will take some TLC multi-mineral, which is the magnesium and the potassium and the calcium and the other minerals, selenium and so forth. I take that every day. I'll take some vitamin C in a water. It's combined with ribose, and so it's chelated or sticking. The vitamin C is sticking to ribose, and then I use magnesium threonate in a item we have here called OptiMag Neuro. And I'll take a little scoop of magnesium and my vitamin C powder, and I'll put it in a drink every morning when I'm taking my little bowl of vitamins. And then I don't get cramps. So that's what I would do, and drink enough water. And eat your fats and proteins so you can repair yourself. You might do some chelation therapy. Then let's see the next thing. Christina says, "Hi, Dr. Rita. Do you think hard water can affect your health, hair, skin, etc.? Thank you." Well, I think what she means by hard water is the city water has a lot of calcium in it. Well water has a lot of calcium in it. And for the most part, I don't think that this is going to be a concern. What I'd be more concerned about with city water are contaminants, just like consider Flint, Michigan, and the lead that was in the water. The chlorine that they put in the water is harmful. So, just the fact of the matter is Americans bathe too much, and they rinse off their skin too often, and they are getting the chlorine, a big dose every time they shower every day. So I shower at most, once every couple of weeks. So I really am trying to keep city water of Tustin off my body. Sponge bathe, okay? The other thing I use is Argentyn silver or the Argentyn gel. Argentyn, and I use it as a deodorant. And so it works very, very well. So I wouldn't be worried about that. My water is all filtered and then remineralized, and then it goes through an ultraviolet light before I drink it. Deborah Vishulas, my sister. Hi, sister. Are labs usually done for fatty liver? Is it important to know and correct? Yeah, well, labs for fatty liver usually are elevated liver enzymes. And elevated liver enzymes are from the fact that you're delivering too much sugar, starch, pasta, bagel, crackers, breads, bananas, eating too many seeds or nuts, all things from the plant kingdom, and sugars, and especially high fructose corn syrup and fruit sugar. And this will then cause your body to, in your liver, to try and process all this to make too many triglycerides, and you'll get fatty liver excess, and then this will hurt a liver cell, disrupted, and the enzymes spill out and over. So there isn't really a lab test that says fatty liver. It just is elevated liver enzymes. If you do an ultrasound of your abdomen, that will show the fat accumulation in the liver. That's probably one of the best ways to do it. When I see elevated liver enzymes on my patients, but they don't drink, and their blood sugars are in the upper normal ranges and triglycerides are above 100, I then start saying, you're getting fatty liver disease, and I order an ultrasound to confirm it. So let's see. It looks as if we are indeed done with our questions. So how interesting it is to find out that everything we've said has come true. And it looks like the lab is the source for the leak in Wuhan. Surprise, surprise. And it looks like the New York Times has now put out articles saying masks don't work. And so how interesting is it that grandma has been right all of this time? And our centralized government authority, white coat, letters after their names have led us always in the wrong direction, always in the wrong direction. I don't think you always make the same mistake. Every once in a while, the right direction should be had, unless there's a design behind it. But I'm just saying, I'm just wondering. Anyway, lots of people are just they can't see the forest for the trees, or they want to just respect authority blindly. I think authority has to demonstrate a servant's heart. Our Lord himself, on the night before he was going to be crucified, kneeled and washed the feet of those who were learning from him, his students. So anyone who is in authority, if you don't see them in a servant mode, I would greatly suspect them. And that's why we opened up more days and more hours here at Tustin Longevity Center when COVID came, when so many of my colleagues were shutting their doors and hiding at home. This old doctor worked more days and more hours and still has. And I'm happy to have done it and to prove the point. I never wore the mask, and I just am so happy that God's ways are the right ways. We've always done the vitamin D. We always had zinc in the minerals. We always said have a good weight, do some fasting, low carb, because we saw that the overweight, hypertension, heart disease, diabetics did worse. We also have always told, and I've never hid, that I am a believer in the Bible. I take it with me everywhere I go. I have my Bible with me. And remember, one of the risk factors for a poor outcome with any illness, or any illness in general, but they found it with what they labeled COVID, was anxiety. And so the Bible to me was a great comfort. And if you look at a history of medicine and you review all of medicine and the history of it from the Chinese ancients and from the Greeks, and you go to the Romans history, and you go back to even the Jewish history and Moses' law, it's full of hygienic techniques. And it's just rich, and the principles still work today. So how comforting that is for me, and how comforting it should be for you. And I hope these YouTubes are a blessing to you. I hope it comforts you and you feel my love and concern for your health, for not only yourselves, but your families. Forgive people, love people, and take good care of yourself, and be the best example you can be. None of us are perfect. I have bad days too, and I make mistakes too, and you have to forgive yourself and get right back up on that horse again, and start leading the charge for your family and loved ones. So with that, it's 7:00, and I will say God bless you, and we'll see you next Tuesday at 6 p.m. If this is a value, like and share, leave us a comment. Let me know if there's anything else you would like to have available. And so God bless.